Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to episode 12 of Extreme Evocast, an all-purpose Pokemon podcast where we talk about news, trivia, and everything related to Pokemon. Welcome, folks. We have a big episode today. I say that a lot. It's kind of fault that I started this podcast, like right before I cannot talk tonight. I started this podcast right before Sword and Shield were announced. I didn't plan on that. Of course I didn't. I didn't know there was going to be a new Pokemon game coming out, and because of that, the first few episodes where I talk about Sword and Shield is going to be, it's big episode today. But we do have a very big episode today. And I'm angry at myself for creating the upload schedule that I do, because of course, if you follow this podcast, I do every other Wednesday. I record on Tuesday night, or sometimes Monday night, and then I upload the episode for Wednesday. But what happened was I uploaded the episode, to be scheduled for Wednesday last week, episode 11.5, and then all of a sudden, it turns out there's new news. Literally, I woke up the next morning, the morning of the podcast, episode of the podcast being released on Wednesday, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago today, to new Pokemon information. And I was like, well, obviously there's nothing I can do about it. It's not my fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just coincidence. But I am upset that I didn't get to talk about all this new stuff before last week. I've been waiting 2 weeks to talk about this new stuff, and I'm finally ready. There's even more things to talk about other than the new stuff that has happened over the span of the 2 weeks, including some more information about Pokemon, including some other news for other games. So let's hop right into it. So firstly, before we get into all of the new Sword and Shield news, I want to go through the news for stuff that maybe isn't so important, stuff that isn't really related to Sword and Shield, just to get it out of the way right in the beginning, so we can hop right into the Sword and Shield stuff and not break our tempo all the way through. So, starting, of course, Pokemon Go, as we normally do, there is a new special research that is called 1,000-Year Slumber, and allows players to get Jirachi. If you remember, they did the special researchers for Mew, they did the special researchers for Celebi, and now they're doing the Gen 3 version where they're adding a special research for Jirachi. I haven't actually finished a lot of the special researches, mostly because I've been home. But also, speaking about that, good news, I will be back in college this weekend, actually. So if you're listening to this on the Wednesday that it comes out, I will be going back to college on Saturday. And that means that next week will be the first week that I get to, be back and actually able to play Pokemon Go. And I'm very excited about that, because there is a community day coming up soon, which brings me into my next topic. There's a new community day coming soon, and that community day is Turtwig. Just like I predicted, not to humble brag, but it was, I predicted it would be Turtwig. It wasn't hard to find the pattern, but next the month of September's community day will be Turtwig. It is September 15th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Normal time. So yeah, I'm excited about that. We don't have any information about what the the exclusive move is yet, but we do know, of course, just like every other community day, the Pokemon will be available for Shiny. And yeah, Turtwig, I'm very excited. It's my first community day that I'm actually going to be able to partake in for the entire summer, and I'm very, very excited about that. There is a new Pokemon Go Safari Zone, which is in new Taipei City. And the Pokemon available there are going to be Scyther, Combee, Heracross, Unknown, and some boosted Water, Bug, and Grass-type Pokemon. Speaking of events in Pokemon Go, there's a Water Festival 2019 coming soon. I don't know when that is. Let me check. Here we go. This is coming from Cerebi, by the way. Everything, basically, in this episode is coming from Cerebi, just because Cerebi has a great compiled list of all the new stuff. But it is from August 23rd to August 29th. So, 2 days, actually, after this episode releases. So, there's a new water event, and it has, it says on Cerebi here, it includes increased water-type spawns. Actually, it says it includes increased water-type Sapawns. Sapawns, as well as immediately after another typo, including without the U, more Pokemon spawning around water. Water types will appear more in eggs, and Kingler/Crawdon will have Crabhammer. Finally, Shiny Carvanha and Barboach will be added. So yeah. Also, on Wednesday, August 28th, to 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. local time, you'll be able to encounter Uxie, Mesprit, or Azelf in 5-star raids. Speaking of Pokemon Go and just everything going on, I wanted to give a little bit of a disclaimer, and I checked. I usually don't do this because I want the surprise for myself, but just for you guys, I looked through the list of things that you need to do for the new Jirachi special research, and I'm not going to go through everything because I don't want people to be spoiled. I know some people, including me, like to kind of take it as they go and not really have a chance to plan ahead, just to make it more fun. But there is actually a research that has you that requires you to evolve a Feebas. So a tip from me, if you haven't already, would be to add a Feebas as your buddy, because you need to walk, I believe it's 25 kilometers with a Feebas as your buddy, and this water event coming up. I just closed the tab. Never mind, I got it. Excuse me. You'll have to excuse me. My voice is gone today, so if you hear a little bit of raspiness in my voice this episode, it's just because I've been talking so much recently and my voice is almost gone. But the water event has a you get more hatch candy and you get more buddy candy. You get halved buddy candy with water type buddy Pokemon. So if you have a Feebas, instead of taking 5 kilometers per candy, it will take I think 2.5, which is good because you need to walk 25 or 10 kilometers with a Feebas, as well as walk, or you need 100 candies for a Feebas. So that it's a lot. Currently, right now, I actually already have 100 Feebas candies, but I still need to walk with my Feebas. So if you haven't already, put your Feebas as your thing, just so you have enough candies to evolve your Feebas. Take advantage of this take advantage of the Water Festival to evolve your Feebas. I'm actually gonna check right now how many kilometers you need to walk with your Feebas. I have Pokemon Go open right now. And it says you need to walk 20 kilometers. I was wrong. It was in the middle. But yes, like I said, take this opportunity to make this research task much, much easier for you. So, there are some little stuff, very, very little stuff that we're going to cover right now. Not too much news, mostly Pokemon Go stuff. But there's a new Adventure Sync feature coming soon. And if you don't know what Adventure Sync is the feature that allows you to walk, hatch eggs, and walk with your buddy Pokemon while having the game closed. Apparently, it says you're going to be able to have buddy Pokemon, or not buddy Pokemon. You're going to be able to catch Pokemon with Adventure Sync. You find a specific and like unique Pokemon with Adventure Sync. That new feature is happening in Australia right now, and I assume if it goes well, will be, coming to the rest of the world. The last of the Pokemon Go news, I think 2 episodes ago, last episode maybe, I said that there was Shadow Ralts coming to Pokemon Go, or at least maybe, if I don't remember, I either said it was coming or it was already here, but if I said it was coming, it is for sure here. But yeah, that is going to be it for the Pokemon Go news. There's a few things. Something that really surprised me. Normally I wouldn't put this kind of stuff on this podcast because it's kind of like, but something that surprised me is that even with the release of Sword and Shield coming out soon, they're still doing giveaway events for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. There's a Mewtwo gift coming to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, like a Mewtwo distribution, coming to the UK, France, and Germany. It's to tie in with the release of Unified Minds from today through September 6th at the Sims toy stores in the UK and Germany. So you can, so it's essentially tie in with the new TCG, Mewtwo coming out, and you can get a Mewtwo for your Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee game, as well as a special group match in Pokemon Tournament based on Mewtwo. So it seems like they're kind of doing like a Mewtwo themed thing for the release. So it's that has already happened though. That was from August 9th through August 11th. But the Mewtwo distribution is September 6th. So yeah, if you're really interested in it, get yourself another Mewtwo and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which I think is interesting because like I didn't really expect them to do anything else in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I kind of thought that they, stopped caring about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. But that's really interesting. I'm happy they're doing more stuff with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I love those games. If you know me, you know I love those games, and I'm happy that they're still giving that game some love. Before we get to the last little bit of news here, I want to go off on a little bit of a personal tangent. Not tangent, but a little bit of a personal just experience. I figured I'd get a little bit more personal in this podcast, considering it is my podcast, and I have the right to talk about whatever I want. Recently, and when I say recently, I mean today, I got a gift from a friend, and to that friend, if you're listening to this right now, thank you so much. You know who you are. But I got a gift from a friend, which included a Nintendo 64, like 5 games, and a Game Boy Color with like 4 games. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying what I got. And in those 5 games for the Nintendo 64 was Pokemon Stadium. And I actually never had a chance to play Pokemon Stadium ever as a kid. And I'm really excited about the fact that I get to play Stadium because the gift that he gave me also came with Pokemon Blue. And of course, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but you need like a Game Boy cartridge of Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow, or Green to play Pokemon Stadium. I tried playing it, but I didn't have the adapter that comes with it. So I'm going to have to pick myself up one of those. And apparently they're cheap, so I'm not worried about it. But once I pick up one of those adapters, I'm excited to actually play Pokemon Stadium. And it might be the reason why I say this is because it might be something that I stream in the future on Twitch. So if you're listening to this and you're a fan of my streams on Twitch, look out in the future for potential Pokemon Stadium streams. Now I need to get myself a Nintendo 64 capture card, however that it may be, I'm not sure. But this is a new opportunity for me because I can stream games right from my Nintendo 64, including Pokemon Stadium. Also, like I got like Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, all that kind of stuff, which I'm excited to play. And so yeah, if you're listening to this in the past, or in the future, I mean, you can't possibly be listening to it in the past. If you're listening to it in the future, and you want to check out my streams, go ahead if you want. This is kind of a self-plug, but also kind of an update, saying that in the future I do plan on streaming games like Pokemon Stadium, which is exciting. I'm very, very excited. And again, thank you to that friend who gave me all those cool things, and giving me more opportunities to play more Pokemon games, because I never got a chance to play Stadium as a kid, because I never had a Nintendo 64. And I'm very, very excited to try out the game. I've heard great things about it. I'm very excited. So yeah, we are going to hop into the last little bit of news for today. It's kind of a big one, but I still want to talk about it. So there was a there was the Pokemon 2019 World Championship for the trading card game. There was for the the actual Pokemon games, and there was for Pokken Tournament, and there was a Junior Cup and a Masters, a Junior Cup and like a non-Junior Cup, just a normal cup for adults, for each game. And so I'm going to go through the winners of the game. It was at Washington D.C. Recently. I'm not sure exactly what date it was, but it is. They are over. If you want to not hear the spoilers for the winners, if you are interested in watching the championships by yourself, and you don't want to know who wins, skip ahead a few minutes to, like 20 minutes into the episode or something like that, because this might take a little while to talk about. So you have been warned. There is spoiler, I suppose, quote-unquote spoiler territory coming up soon, just if you want to watch the World Championship by yourself, and you don't want to be spoiled for the winners, then don't listen to this next part. So there is the Pokemon Trading Card Game Junior Division Finals, and the champion was Haruki Miyamoto. And these new World Championships featured, at least the trading card game, of course, featured the new, I forget what they're called. I totally forget what the deck is called, but it's the one where it's like, they go together. The double up Pokemon, like Pikachu and Zekrom, or like Raichu and Alolan Raichu. We're actually, speaking of those two, were the winning deck for the champion, Haruki Miyamoto. And the runner-up is Isaac Tercera. And excuse me if I pronounce these names wrong. A lot of them are Japanese, or in other languages. So excuse me if I get my pronunciations wrong. So that was the junior division. In the trading card game senior division finals, there was Kaya something in German. I'm not going to try and pronounce it, but Kaya from Germany, and the runner-up was Grant Shen from the United States. And in the TCG Masters division, there was Henry Brand from Australia as the champion, and Shintaro Ito as the runner-up from Japan. In the Pokemon, they say it was Pokemon video game, which is a really interesting way of saying it. But the Pokemon video game Junior Division Finals, this is coming straight from the web, from the website, is P-Woo from Taiwan, and the runner-up is Teddy French from Great Britain. His last name is French. Literally, his last name is French. It's just the word French. I think that's really funny. No disrespect, but I think that's extremely funny. It's like, it's like, oh, what's your last name? Oh, it's French. It's like, okay, well, what is it? It's like, no, it's literally French. Oh, I crack myself up. Anyway, for the Pokemon Video Game Senior Division Finals, there was Ko Tsukide from Japan and Lewis Tan from Australia as the runner-up. In the Pokemon Video Game Master Division Finals was Naoto Mizubuchi from Japan. And the runner-up was Hirofumi Kimura from Japan. So congratulations to everybody. And for the Pokken Tournament Senior Division Finals, no Junior Division Finals for the Pokken Tournament. Interesting. For the Pokken Tournament Senior Division Finals, there was Colin Ash Greninja 1 Jones. Interesting how they're the only person that have like a tag. I guess because it's like a game, Colin, and in quotes, Ash Greninja 1 Jones for the United States, and the runner-up is Yusuke Kato, from Japan. And for the Pokken Tournament Master Division Finals, there is Hiroki Subutan Ishida. Subutan is his, I assume like his in-game name, and the runner-up is Toshiki Haruyuki Koneda, and Haruyuki is his in-game name. So congratulations everybody for the World Championships. I didn't get a chance to watch them. I planned on watching them, but I didn't have a chance to watch them. I was especially excited about the Pokken Tournament one, because I've been getting into Pokken Tournament recently, and it's actually really fun. So yeah, I mean, still, congratulations to everybody who won. I really respect people who can win world championships. I mean, especially because it's interesting to me because I follow a lot of Smash, Super Smash Brothers events, and if you know, there was a lot of Super Smash Brothers things recently. There was a lot of Super Smash Bros. Tournaments recently. Like there's Evo, there was Super Smash Con. If you followed Super Smash Bros. Community and the tournament scene, and none of the tournaments are actually licensed like officially by Nintendo, and it's weird to have an actual, and at least for Pokemon, an actual, like an actual Pokemon branded tournament, which is it's a breath of fresh air considering the lack. I mean, of course, there's one for Smash, the Nintendo Invitational, but it's not. Excuse me for saying it's not super competitive. There's items, there's all that kind of stuff. So people don't usually consider it like an actual, like, real tournament. I mean, of course, it is liable, but there's a few problems with it, and I'm not going to go into it. Of course, this isn't a Smash podcast. This is a Pokemon podcast, but like, it's interesting to me that there's actually an official Pokemon tournament, and it's for some reason it's surreal reading on like the actual Pokemon website. It's like, oh, here are the winners of the tournament. It's weird to me. I'm not sure why. But anyway, that is going to do it for the news for today. You know what time it is. We're going to get right into the new Pokemon, new stuff, new items, new moves, new characters, new stories. Oh, there's so much stuff to talk about. I'm so very excited. So yeah, let's get into it. So very first on the agenda, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, possibly if you don't know what I'm talking about, like I said, the day after I released last episode 11.5, the new direct, or not, it wasn't even a direct, it was just stuff. They just released things, and I was like, okay, it wasn't planned. They didn't tell anything else about it. At least if they did, I don't remember. I don't know if they did. But I just want to say today's episode might be somewhat shorter, mostly because I know last episode I said I should stop saying that and all that stuff, but like, or not, maybe not last one, but a few times ago. But I. Just while there's new stuff to talk about, I can't promise that I'm going to be able to talk about it for like a super long time, which is fine. As long as I get to talk about the new stuff, that's all I care about. But so let's hop right into the new Pokemon. So the first Pokemon I want to talk about that doesn't really have anything extra. I mean, it does, but it doesn't have anything extra. You'll see what I mean. There is Morpeko. Or Morpeko, but Morpeko is a electric dark type Pokemon, and it is the two-sided Pokemon. It is 1 foot tall, it is 6.6 pounds, and its ability is Hunger Switch, which I will talk about when I talk about the new abilities more in depth. The moves that we know that it has is Aura Wheel. So if you don't know what Morpeko is the the Pikachu clone of this generation, and Morpeko has a cool mechanic where it will switch. It has different forms, and depending on what form it's in, the move that it has, Aura Wheel, will change type. So it has its normal form and it has the hangry form. So the Pokedex information for Morpeko says Morpeko constantly generates electricity with the sacs in its cheeks. This consumes energy, causing Morpeko to be constantly hungry. This is why Morpeko is always carrying around berry seeds, protecting them with care. They serve as a snack. When experiencing prolonged hunger, the balance of hormones within Morpeko's body changes. This causes its fur color to change and triggers a more aggressive and volatile behavior. The energy stored in its cheek sacs also changes from electric type to dark type. So, the move that it has, Aura Wheel, changes based on, it changes type based on what form Morpeko's in. So it's electric type when it's in its normal form, and it's dark type when it's hangry form. Which is cool, because we haven't seen a dual type Pikachu clone ever? Ever? No, we had Togedemaru, which was electric steel, but still. So yeah, that point is kind of moot, but still, interesting. Electric Dark. Is that the first Electric Dark Pokemon? I'm not 100% sure. If it is, awesome. If it's not, I don't know many. So this is cool. This is a really, really cool Pokemon. I think that it's a very unique Pikachu clone, which I like. Of course, I call them Pikachu clones, so they're not necessarily Pikachu clones. You know what I mean when I say Pikachu clone. It looks like Pikachu. It has the same kind of electric rodent, with the cheeks and stuff, like like Pichu, Pachirisu, Plusle, Minun, Emolga, etc. So yeah, Morpeko is a really interesting Pokemon. I really like it. I'm really excited to see how it works. In terms of competitive Pokemon and stuff. And the new ability, it says that Hunger Switch, it only says it changes Morpeko's form. It doesn't say how. It says changes Morpeko's aura wheel attack from electric to dark type. So we don't necessarily know how it changes form. We just know that it does change form, which is interesting. I like it. I like the new Pokemon. I really like how they're, what they're coming out with, and it's really interesting. So, on to the biggest topic, possibly, of the new Pokemon. There is a new forms were released. Galarian Pokemon. Galarian Forms. And, oh my god, I am so excited about this. I love Alolan Forms. Alolan Forms are possibly one of my favorite things to come from Pokemon Sun and Moon. I am over the moon about this. I'm so excited to see what new stuff comes from it. New forms. Like, I thought that Alolan Forms weren't going to be... They weren't going to be coming back. Or Alolan Forms weren't going to be coming back, but they are. I mean, no, they're not coming back necessarily, but they're coming in with Galarian Forms. The first Galarian Pokemon that we saw was Galarian Weezing. It is Poison Fairy type, first of its kind, which is really, really interesting. I like how they're taking the unused Pokemon type combinations and checking them out. They're giving them to new Pokemon. I really, really like it. So it is the Poison Gas Pokemon, just like normal Weezing is. It is 9'10", of course, due to its giant smokestack top hat that it has going on, and its green smoke. It is 35 pounds. It has Levitate and Neutralizing Gas, which we will talk about in depth in a few minutes here. Its known moves are Sludge Bomb, Fairy Wind, Toxic, and Explosion. And it says, Galarian Weezing consumes polluted air and poisonous gases for sustenance. The air and gases absorbed will have toxins removed before being spewed out again at the tops of Weezing's heads. Apparently, the air produced through the purification process is very clean. The toxins accumulated within Weezing's body form into concentrated poison gas clouds that leak out and drift around it. The gas is so potent that even a whiff is enough to stun and immobilize an opponent. It is Weezing's best weapon during battles. Of course, a reference to the industrial side of England and the European countries. Not to say that America doesn't have any industrialization, but it kind of has that steampunky industrial factory, like noble top hat aesthetic going on, and I really like it. Probably one of my favorite designs so far in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I adore this new... I love Galarian Weezing. It's so creative. I love his big, stupid, doofy mustache and beard and eyebrows. It's so funny. It's so good. I really, really like this new Pokemon. One of my favorites, if not my favorite so far. I'm very, very excited about this. So, his new ability, Neutralizing Gas, I want to talk about for quite a little while here. It neutralizes the effects of abilities, and you've probably seen a few people talking about this already. Shofu made a video about it. Specifically, is the thing that comes to mind. If you don't know Shofu, he's a Pokemon YouTuber. Go check him out if you haven't already. But Neutralizing Gas completely gets rid of the effects of other abilities, which is insane. That there's so many things to think about with this new ability. Like, obviously, the main thing, Regigigas with slow start, Archeops with whatever his ability is, but I know it sucks, and Slacking come to mind. Slacking, of course, with Truant. But, like, you could just get rid of the negative abilities that hamper these Pokemon, like Archeops, Regigigas, and Slacking. For example, Regigigas, of course, not very strong in competitive Pokemon play because of slow start. It takes 5 turns in order for his attack and his defense to get raised, attack and his defense to be as strong as they possibly can be. And of course, this is only useful in doubles. In singles, single Pokemon battles, Neutralizing Gas could be used for the against the opponent, because instead of for example, I think in the direct or the video that we saw, there was like Rotom washes Levitate. There was Gastrodon's the ability that sucks up water moves into it, water absorb, I think, and it neutralized it. It didn't work. You were able to use a water type move on Gastrodon, and you were able to hit Rotom with a ground type move, which, like, I'm surprised we don't have an ability like this already, because that is absolutely insane to me. I think it's insane. I'm so excited to see what kind of things this could do. I've never really gotten too much into doubles. I'm more of a singles player myself, more of a singles gal. But this makes literally this ability itself makes me want to play doubles. It sounds so fun. It sounds so interesting. You could probably do so many things. Like, I'm curious to see how it would work with form changing abilities like Battle Bond, or, for example, Morpiko's new ability. Whatever it's called, form change or hunger switch. Yeah, whatever. Would they just not work? Would they just not change it? Would they just not change form? Like for example, Ash Greninja or Greninja with Battle Bond. Would you just not turn into Ash Greninja after you KO a Pokemon? Because that sounds insane. That sounds so OP. You just wouldn't be able to fight Galarian Weezing. And one, I'm happy because that gets Weezing more time in the spotlight, because I love Weezing. And two, because it just offers so many new things. I love abilities that affect other Pokemon, because there's something that's I love. Okay, let me rephrase that. I love abilities that affect universal things in Pokemon, like abilities, for example. For example, I really like Lopunny's ability, Klutz, which makes it so she can't use, or it can't use, held items. I think that's also a very, very interesting ability, and it's on the same level, sort of, as Neutralizing Gas. But, I'm just so excited to see what kind of stuff you can come up with Neutralizing Gas. I'm actually super excited, and it's this ability itself is, one, making me want to go back, getting into doubles, and two, making me just want to get back into competitive Pokemon battling as a whole, because that just sounds amazing. I'm so excited. If you can't tell, I'm very excited to try this out. It's such an interesting ability. It's such a cool thing. I'm fangirling over this new ability and this new Pokemon. I love Galarian Weezing. I love its new ability. I love Weezing in general. I love its typing. Poison Fairy. That's insane. Completely gets rid of the poison weakness to Fairy, which is really, really interesting. It could also, it could also have Levitate, which could, get rid of ground type moves, which Weezing already has access to, which isn't necessarily super interesting, but it is a thing. I could see this Pokemon being very strong, either very strong or just very gimmicky and fun. And that's what I think I'm most excited about this Pokemon. But we can talk more about Weezing another time, and Galarian Weezing exclusively in another episode. We could talk about it for a long time, or we could, maybe I could come up with a list of all the abilities that it would. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I'm brainstorming for next episode, and I'm thinking of looking through a lot of abilities and brainstorming to see how it would work with Galarian Weezing's new ability. Would that be something that people would be interested in? I would love feedback. So if you're listening to this now and you're in a place where you can respond, such as on YouTube, tell me. I would love to hear how you feel about this new ability, and if you think that making a whole episode about brainstorming about stuff with this new ability would be interesting, because I think I would love to make that episode. Maybe I won't do it next time. We'll see. I'm not sure. I am going to be pretty busy with school and stuff, so I'm not 100% sure. But I will certainly write it down for ideas. And I'm just excited. I'm over the moon about this new Pokemon, or this new form, and about this new ability. So, speaking of Galarian Forms, we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have Galarian Forms for non-Gen 1 Pokemon. And first off, before we go over the Pokemon itself, I want to tell you why that is great. I want to tell you why that is amazing. Because a lot of people were upset about the Alolan Forms and how they only affected Gen 1 Pokemon. And I don't really know why they did that. I don't really know. Maybe they were testing the waters a little bit, thinking, let's give these new forms to Pokemon that are already well-known, already, beloved by fans, Vulpix, Raichu, etc. And let's test the waters a little bit. These Pokemon are well-known by everybody. These Pokemon are old. People might want something new and fresh. So instead of giving them to some newer Pokemon, I could see why they wanted to give it to older Pokemon. But they're starting to give it to more Pokemon than just Gen 1. Specifically, Gen 3, my favorite generation. You can tell why I would be over the moon about this. They're giving Gen 3 some representation. Not that they don't already, but Hoenn, if you don't know me, Hoenn and Gen 3 is my favorite. I will stand by my opinion that Gen 3 and Hoenn is the best Pokemon generation, and also is my very favorite. And seeing the fact that we now have Galarian Zigzagoon and Galarian Linoon, and also a new evolution for Linoon and Zigzagoon, just wow. I am so excited about this. I'm excited to see what they do. This opens up new possibilities for every single Pokemon to have Galarian Forms. They could give a Galarian Form to any Pokemon now. Now that they've given it to a Gen 3 Pokemon, they could give it to any Pokemon. Do I think they're going to give Galarian Forms to Pokemon like in Sun and Moon or X and Y? Maybe not, because they're more recent. But Gen 3, Gen 2, most likely Gen 2. Gen 4, maybe. Gen 5, a little less likely. But I think that this opens up new opportunities for everything. They could make Galarian Forms for any Pokemon. And I think that that's extremely exciting. And we also know that Galarian Forms now can do different evolutions. Something we didn't get in Alolan Forms, which I'm so excited about. God, I've been waiting for 2 weeks to talk about this stuff and express my opinions about, and just, God, it's so exciting to me. This is the kind of stuff that makes me love Pokemon. New evolutions for Galarian Forms, like, that is insane. If you told me that was coming, I wouldn't believe you. Maybe. But yeah, if you haven't heard already, there is Galarian Zigzagoon, Galarian Linoon, and there is a new evolution for evolving the Galarian form of Linoon into Obstagoon, a very new Pokemon. Galarian Zigzagoon is a dark normal Pokemon. It retains its normal classification as the tiny raccoon Pokemon. It is 1/4, it is 38 pounds, it has Pickup and Gluttony, which I think are Zigzagoon's normal abilities, so nothing changed in that front, just the type. And kind of like a Alolan Rattata. But it says, the Zigzagoon in the Galar region move about how they like and never settle down. They're known to inhabit all areas of the region, including fields, forests, and even towns. There's some speculation that the zigzag movements of the Zigzagoon in other regions stem from the restless nature of Galarian Zigzagoon, which is considered to be the oldest branch of the species. See, this is the first time I'm reading this, and that's really interesting. That's really, really interesting. So the Zigzagoon that we know and love today, the non-Galarian Zigzagoon, is actually a descendant of Galarian Zigzagoon, which is why the Zigzagoon that we have move in a zigzag pattern, because of the restless nature of a Galarian Zigzagoon. That's very, very interesting. Galarian Zigzagoon will enjoy battles and will charge at people and other Pokemon in an attempt to provoke a fight. This behavior usually succeeds in starting a battle with other Pokemon, but humans tend to think the Galarian Zigzagoon is just playing or showing affection. It seems to cause Galarian Zigzagoon some frustration when people don't get angry, even though it's trying to provoke them. So it's a rowdy boy. So if you don't know, Galarian Zigzagoon is white and black and has this big old goofy tongue sticking out. And I love them so much. We're going to talk about more about their designs when I get to Obstagoon. But the new Linoon is Dark Normal. It is the rushing Pokemon. It is 1/8. It is 71.7 pounds. Pickup and Gluttony, probably the same as normal Linoon. But Galarian Linoon can reach speeds of up to 60 miles per hour and can deliver devastating tackles and headbutts. These attacks have enough destructive force to even knock a car away, but they can also throw Linoon off balance if they miss. Galarian Linoon are rash and fearless, and they will recklessly pick fights even with opponents stronger than themselves. Their fearlessness, as well as their tendency to attack opponents head-on, make Galarian Linoon very popular among the disaffected youths of the Galar region, who have nowhere to direct their frustration and anger. And last but not least, there is Obstagoon, which is exciting because the first, something I just realized, the first hyena-based Pokemon, which I really like hyenas, and I'm surprised that we haven't necessarily gotten a hyena Pokemon. So far at least, and it seems like Obstagoon is the first, hyena-inspired Pokemon, and I'm excited about that. I really like hyenas, and I'm glad they're finally getting some love in Pokemon. But Obstagoon is the evolution of Galarian Linoon, and it is a Dark Normal Pokemon. It is the blocking Pokemon. It is 5'3". It is 101.4 pounds. It has Reckless and Guts, which are, obviously new abilities to the Linoon and Zigzagoon family. Its known moves are Obstruct, Taunt, Night Slash, and Double Edge. And Obstruct, I believe, is a new move. The Linoon of the Galar region live in harsh conditions compared to those found in other regions, with fierce competition amongst others in their species. Their survival instinct have been honed as a result, leading to their evolution into Obstagoon. Though Obstagoon is extremely combative, it seems that it doesn't often launch the first attack. It will taunt an opponent, goading it into it attacking. When it does, Obstagoon will cross its arms and meet the oncoming attack with its Obstruct move. So it's the blocking Pokemon. And it also ties into Team Yell, which we will talk about in a little bit. Also, like I said, Obstagoon is Kiss inspired, it seems, or it just in general like punk rock inspired, but more obviously I think is inspired by the American rock band Kiss, which I do want to take a moment to say that Gene Simmons, the lead singer of Kiss, actually had something to say about Obstagoon and the obvious inspiration, and he says that he is he's flattered. I'm going to quote him here. He says, "Pokemon has been part of our household for decades, ever since our kids first discovered them. And to see Pokemon paying homage to Kiss is flattering. It's a Kiss world, and you're all just living in it." Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's nice. I'm glad to hear that he's responding kindly to the homage, to the reference. It makes me happy to see that people like Gene Simmons enjoy Pokemon and are flattered by the reference. So anyway, Obstagoon, as we know, has a new move, which is it says that the effect, it just says it taunts the opponent. We don't know anything about it yet. It's a dark type move. And it just says it taunts the opponent, which might mean that it makes it so they can't, it gives them the effect of taunt, so they can't use anything other than attacking moves. I'm not sure. It might actually say in the direct, the video. So if I'm wrong about that, I apologize. I'm just going by my memory of 2 weeks ago, and also looking at the Cerebi page where it says it taunts the opponent. So I assume either it's just, we don't know what it does yet, or it just has the effect of the move taunt. Yeah. So what do I think about the new Pokemon? The new Galarian Forms. Of course, that is the last of the Pokemon that we have. The new Pokemon that we have right now, unfortunately. Obstagoon, Morpeko, and the Galarian Forms of Linoon and Zigzagoon that were revealed in the direct. And Galarian Wheezing, But what do I think about the new forms and the new Linoon, Zigzagoon, Linoon, Obstagoon? I love them. If it hasn't been obvious already, I goddamn love them. Excuse my French. My God. I love them so much, man. Like, I could talk about these Pokemon for hours. I love Zigzagoon. I love Gen 3. I'm so happy to see Gen 3 getting some representation. I'm so happy to see Gen 3 getting anything. And if it's new forms, new evolutions. Like, think about this. When have we last gotten a new evolution for a Pokemon? I don't know, Gen 4? Is that the last time that we've gotten a new evolution for a Pokemon? And it's on a Gen 3 Pokemon. That makes me so incredibly happy. You don't know how happy that makes me. Of course, fans that aren't super into who aren't into Gen 3 as much as I am, maybe you're not as excited about this, but as a Hoenn fan and as a Gen 3 enthusiast, I am over the moon about these new Pokemon, about these new forms, about Obstagoon. I love Obstagoon. I love Hyenas. I love its design. I love everything about it. I'm so happy. Let's move on. We're actually going to go into the random Pokemon of the week right now. The segment where we talk about a random Pokemon every episode. And then after that, we'll go into some of the more obscure new stuff, the other Pokemon news and all that kind of jazz, like new moves, Pokejobs, Team Yell, the new characters, all that kind of jazz. But for now, we're just going to talk about the new Pokemon, the random Pokemon of the week, which is Swinub. Swinub is the pig Pokemon. It is number 220. It evolves from Piloswine at level 33. It evolves into Mamoswine when leveled up, knowing Ancient Power. It is an Ice Ground Pokemon. Its abilities are Oblivious or Snow Cloak. It has Thick Fat as its hidden ability. Has a 50-50 gender ratio. It is 1'4", or 4 meters, or 0.4 meters, sorry. It is 14.3 pounds, or 6.5 kilograms. And, Swinub. It was in Generation 2, and first and only Ice Ground Pokemon, which I think is cool. Obviously the whole line is Ice Ground, but the only Ice Ground Pokemon line to exist, which I think is a really interesting type. It's always interesting to see Pokemon that have types that go against each other, types that are like super effective against each other. As types, and I think that's really cool. I really like Pokemon like that, and Swinub is one of those Pokemon. Not really too else to say about Swinub. I'm looking at the trivia right now. Swinub has the lowest base stat total of all Ice-type Pokemon, which is sad. It has the lowest special defense of all Ice-type Pokemon, which makes it even frailer than Ice-type Pokemon are already frail, but that's a topic for another episode. I could talk forever about how much I hate what Pokemon has done to Ice types, my favorite type, and how bad they are, and how it's the worst type in the game. But like I said, we'll talk about that another time. It's a really high level for a Pokemon like Swinub, especially because I'm not really surprised because it started out. Swinub being one of those Pokemon that only had one evolution in Gen 2, and then in Generation 4, Mamoswine was introduced. So I'm not surprised that it was so high, but like now looking at it, thinking about like Piloswine, like Piloswine's not even that good of a Pokemon, and level 33 is high for a Pokemon like Swinub. I mean, obviously it's not too high, but it's up there. Swinub is one of the only Pokemon to have the same sprite in Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Silver. A little bit of useless trivia, as well as, actually, same sprite in Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Excuse you. Like, the Crystal one is animated. I'm looking at them right now. The Crystal one is animated, but, like, they're the same. That's kind of sad. Like, I like seeing different sprites and stuff between different games, and like, yep, they're right. It's literally the same. It's just kind of sitting there. It's not really even doing anything. I mean, what kind of pose could you give to Swinub? It's, I really like Swinub. I think it's cute. I think it's an adorable Pokemon. I've always really liked Swinub, mostly because I really like Ice types. And I think it's one of the weirdest looking ice type Pokemon. It's like a guinea pig kind of thing, and the fact that it's like an ice type and it's just like a little ball of hair. Especially like I like Piloswine too because it's like a guinea pig that evolves into like a guinea pig with tusks, and then it evolves into a woolly mammoth. I think I really like this Pokemon. I really like the line. I've never actually used, not that at least I remember, like a Mamoswine in like my main game. I might have to change that once I once I get into a game where that's applicable. But I think I don't know. I really like Swinub. So I actually do have quite a lot to say about Swinub's shiny form. As you know, we also do shiny ratings in this segment. So I give Swinub. It's hard for me to say. I give it a 5 out of 10, right in the middle, smack dab in the middle. Mostly because its newer shinies are uninspired. It's green. I like the shade of green that it is. It's actually like a very light, almost. No, you know what? I'm gonna bump it up to a 6 out of 10. I like Swinub shiny, but not too much because it's green. But it's a nice color. It's not the normal green. It's not like a lime green. It's not an ugly green. It's a nice, very like minty toothpaste green. And I also like how its nose changes color. They didn't have to change the nose color, but they changed it into a little bit of a brighter, almost a yellow. Almost like a beige color, which I really appreciate. But specifically, I wanted to talk about, obviously with the hardware limitations and the color limitations of the Game Boy Color, the sprites are the shiny sprites are going to be different in Gold and Silver, and Crystal. But the shiny Swinub in Gold and Silver and Crystal on the Game Boy Color was blue, and I think that's really interesting. I almost like it better than the way it is now because it's blue. I like blue. And that's also saying something for its Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald sprite, and also Fire Red Leaf Green. It's Gen 3 sprite, if you will. It's a totally different color. And like normally, some Pokemon themselves are totally different colors in Gen 3 just because of the upgrade from they were kind of testing the waters with new color palettes. They wanted to change around the designs a little bit. So I'm not surprised that it's different, but like the coloring of Swinub's normal form is the same between. It's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit more orangey in color, but it's pretty much the same. It's not as different in the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, in the Gen 3 sprites. But its shiny is gray. It's like not even green at all. It's just like a monochromatic gray. And I almost like that better. Like, I really do like the green. I really do like the green of its modern shiny. And I really like the blue of Gold and Silver, but I like the gray. Okay, you know what? No, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I know I'm changing my mind a lot, but like, I don't know. It's growing on me. It's slowly growing on me as I continue talking about it. 7 out of 10. I like it. I like its modern shiny. I like its Gold and Silver shiny, and I like its Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red Leaf Green shiny. Go look at the differences. Like seriously, they're shockingly different. And also, I apologize. I was mistaken. The Crystal sprite is not the same. It is animated, but it's a slightly different color. And I was mostly talking about the pose, but like, I did say that they were the same, but that's not true. That's not actually correct. The Crystal one is the same pose and the same, it's the same sprite. It's just a slightly different color. But anyway, we're going to go into Swinub's, go into a little bit about Swinub competitively. There is the Little Cup, of course, Swinub being a first evolution Pokemon. It belongs in the Little Cup. Swinub has the ability, has its stats at 50 HP, 50 attack, 40 defense, 30 special attack, 30 special defense, and 50 speed. And this is written by Blood Ace. It says, despite its good offensive typing and solid move pool, Swinub is held back by its poor bulk and speed stat, as well as a bad defensive typing. Swinub heavily competes with other stealth Arcsiders such as Onix and Tortuga, the former of which has a higher speed stat and the latter of which has a higher offensive capabilities to pressure entry hazard removers. Both Onyx and Tortuga also have access to Sturdy and are able to switch into flying types such as Volibee due to their higher physical bulk. So it's okay. Its recommended moveset is Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Ice Shard, and Endeavor. Item is Focus Sash. Its ability is Oblivious, which it cannot be infatuated or taunted. Nature is Jolly, which is plus speed minus special attack, and 116 HP EVs, 196 attack EVs, and 196 speed EVs. So yeah, that is going to do it for Swinub, random Pokemon of the week. Thank you, Swinub. I don't know why I'm thanking the Pokemon. But we're going to hop right back into the news. We have some lesser things to talk about, some more general things to talk about. Not that it's not as interesting as a new Pokemon, but new Pokemon are hype as hell. But speaking of hell, Team Yell. Team Yell is the new team, the new evil team, and they have the pink and black aesthetic. They are huge fans of Marnie, who is a new character who we will talk about in just a moment. And it says on Cerebi, the description, it says they are huge fans of the trainer Marnie and will stop at nothing to make her champion of the Galar region. This means that you will encounter them at various points in your travels as they try and stop people from accessing gyms and transportation. Due to their desire to cheer Marnie on, they will listen to her to get them to stop, but when Marnie isn't there, they will continue to cause problems. And of course, they are... I assume that they're going to be using Galarian, Linoon, and Zigzagoon. I would be surprised if they didn't, because it did say that Linoon and Galarian, Linoon, and Galarian Zigzagoon are perfect for troubled youth who want to get out their anger and frustration, which is literally what Team Yell is. So I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if their go-to Pokemon was, say, Galarian Zigzagoon. So yeah, Team Yell, new team. We don't really know too much about them right now, but I am excited to see how they play a part. They seem to be less evil, obviously, because they're just fans. They're just toxic sports fans. But I'm excited to see how they play a part in the story, because normally the evil teams play a big part in the story, but considering they're less they're less antagonistic and more just like an obstacle, which is what teams have always been. But you know what I'm talking about. It seems like they wouldn't really have any plans of like mass destruction. Like, not that Team Skull necessarily did, and it seems like Team Skull is kind of in between Team Yell and like the actual evil teams, because like they were pretty evil. Team Yell just seems like they're just kind of annoying. They just kind of exist to be annoying, I do like that though. I'm excited to see how they play a part. And how what they do in the story, if they even play a part in the story at all. And I am disappointed in the fact that they're not called Team Scream. I think that would have been a much better opportunity. But anyway, speaking of Team Yell, we're going to talk about the new trainers, or the new characters that were revealed. One of which is, of course, Marnie. She is another trainer who wishes to become champion of Galar, and she has a competitive sign. And because of her, because she's so, determined to become champion, she, of course, developed a fan base, which is Team Yell. She gives me Gladion vibes, which I'm not sure if I can really, parallel the two together. But I really like, I get Gladion vibes from her, just because, the black aesthetic, the emo kind of aesthetic. She's a little bit more punk rocky. Like grunge, and I appreciate her aesthetic and what she looks like. I really, really like her, and I really, really am excited to see what. I'm really excited to see how she plays a part in the story, if at all. I'm excited. And the other trainer that we know about is Bede. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's Bedee or Bede. My apologies. It says Bede. I'll just call him Bede. Bede is trying to compete in the gym challenge in Galar, just like Marnie and just like the trainer. And he has been sponsored by Chairman Rose, but he has other intentions as well. That doesn't bode well. It seems like maybe he's going to be more of the evil rival. Because, of course, like I said, I feel like Chairman Rose and Liliana are going to be evil. I talked about this in the first time they were revealed. But I think that Bede is going to play a big part in the story, as well as Chairman Rose and Oleana. But you can hear me talk about that when I talked about I believe, episode 10, which was like Let's Talk Galar Part 2, where I talked about all these new characters and stuff. But I think that Bede plays a part in that, certainly. I would be surprised if he didn't, just because it says he has other intentions as well, and is literally sponsored by Chairman Rose, who I think is not going to be very good. So, yeah, if that's not a slap in the face of, hey, I'm evil, I don't know what is. So there are some new moves that I think I forgot to talk about last time. Last time there was, I didn't talk about them when they were revealed. For example, right now this is a new one that was just revealed, Aura Wheel, which changes type based on Morpeko's form. At least electric type in full belly mode and dark type in hangry mode. And of course the Pokemon with the move is Morpeko. And yeah, simple as that. It just changes types. Based on either it's electric or dark. We don't know if it's a physical move or a special move or what its power is. So there is a move that is, I assume, going to be Grookey's signature move, Grookey's line signature move. It was shown in an image, not even in in the direct itself, but it's called Branch Poke, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's a grass type move. It's Branch Poke. In Japanese, it's called Stick Bash. But yeah, it's Grookey is shown being used, and because Grookey has a stick, I would expect to see it. I would expect to think that this would be one of, if not Grookey's signature move. So there is a new move that was shown in the most recent direct called Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe lowers the attack of all opponents hit. We don't know what Pokemon necessarily have this move, but all we know, or what type it is, but all we know is that Flygon was seen using it, and it hits multiple Pokemon in double battles. It hits both Pokemon in double battles, and it lowers the attack of the opponent's hit, which I think is cool. We don't really have a lot of attacking moves that lower attack, per se, or lower stats in general, per se. So I'm excited to see what this does. And I think I did talk about this earlier, but there is, what is this Pokemon called? Daruligon. Or, yeah, Daruligon. Or Darulidon. Darulidon, not Daruligon. Darulidon. Have I been saying that wrong the whole time? Have I said Daruligon? I apologize. I mean Darulidon. But Darulidon has a move called Steel Beam, which I think I talked about being the most powerful steel type move, because it was people could have a contest to see like what if they could name the most powerful steel move, and they said Exhaustive Beam in Japanese, and I guess it translates to English as Steel Beam. It's a special move, steel type move. It has a power of 140, and it hits. Reduces hit points of the user by 50%. So it's a very, very strong move, but it has a 50% recoil, which is oof. And of course, there's Obstruct, which we already talked about. So next on the agenda, almost last but not least, we have two more things to talk about before we begin the episode for today. There is new Poke Jobs that were introduced. I don't really remember all that much about this, so I'm just going to read the Cerebi page. So excuse me if it's a little bit, monotonous, but I'm just going to read what it says on Cerebi. Thank you, Cerebi, again. It says, Pokejobs are the spiritual successor to the Pokepelago, and provide a way to passively collect jobs that can boost experience points. Okay, so it's a Pelago thing. This is done at the Rotome PC in each of the Pokemon Centers. Each Pokejobs have got certain restrictions and requests, such as Pokemon who focus on certain stats, and a certain number of Pokemon could go on each excursion. Pokejob rewards. When the Pokemon returns, it will receive experience points as well as some items. The rewards they get will vary depending on how long they were working for. We'll provide a full list of jobs and rewards when the game comes. So yeah, and yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I expected them to do something like the Pelago, if not just have the Pelago in the game. But that's interesting. I'm excited to see the Pokejobs. It seems a lot more in-depth and seems a lot more unique than the Pelago was, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. And a little bit of a disclaimer before we get into the last little parts here. We're kind of, scratching at the last little bit of the information we have. And of course, there are a lot of things that I could talk about, like the Ratomi PC, some of the cutscenes that they shown. I believe there was like a video that showed like one of the towns. It showed a little bit of gameplay. It showed one of the towns, as well as like the Corviknight taxi service, which you can check out on the Nintendo UK YouTube channel. It seems I'm not going to go through it because we're kind of running out of time here. But it does show some awesome gameplay of the game. It shows like the Pokemon centers. It shows the game, and it's something we've never really seen before is like actual gameplay of them walking around in towns and stuff. And it shows some new cool stuff, and you can check that out. You can. I'm actually watching it right now. You can see they're talking to a Wooloo. They're walking. Showing the Pokemon Center. They're showing some buildings in town, like the train station. It seems that you go in between cities with the train station and all that stuff. Yeah, that's it's really exciting. So I'm not going to go super in depth about what that entails, and more of the minute details I'm not going to go over, just because it would take me forever to go over everything. And I do have a time limit for this podcast. But I'll talk more stuff about as the game comes out, and I'll pretty much probably go over everything as the game comes out. And before we end it off here, before I talk about the last little bit, just because I'm on the topic, I do want to say that, I want to give my conclusion. How do I feel about this new stuff? What can I even say more than what I've already said? What can I say except, wow, I'm so excited for this game. I'm planning on pre-ordering Sword, probably, because I really like Zacian. And I'm probably going to get, I almost said Zamazenta. I'm probably going to get Pokemon Shield as well. But right, I think my game of choice is Pokemon Sword. But, it's too much for words, man. I can't express how much I love this. How much I love this. How much I love the new stuff that they're showing. And I'm so very excited for this game, as you can tell. So I'm not going to go too much into how I feel about this stuff, because it should be pretty obvious how I feel. I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm over the moon. It makes me so happy seeing this stuff. And yeah. And before, the last thing we talk about before we end it off here. Sorry, this episode is kind of just an info dump of new stuff. As you can tell, I'm very excited and I'm talking very quickly. I hope it's not too much. But I want to go over one more thing that Cerebi actually didn't cover in their... I couldn't find it anywhere on Cerebi, so I had to actually rewatch the direct to look at and like memorize the information. There's two new held items that they introduced in the direct, and those are the room service and the eject pack. The room service lowers the holder's speed when Trick Room is used, and I can see, because Trick Rooming is very popular in at least competitive Pokemon, mostly for doubles, but I also use it a lot in singles. A lot of people use it a lot in singles. Trick Room is really interesting. I really, really, really like Trick Room and like the strategies that come with it. So I'm excited to see something that is enabling Trick Room as a move. And so when you get into a Trick Room, it lowers your speed. So it essentially raises your speed in a Trick Room. It gives you a higher chance of going first, which is really, really interesting. And the eject pack is kind of like the eject button, and also kind of like Golisopod's and, of course, Wimpod's abilities, and kind of an item. Sort of a hybrid of it's kind of like a different version of the eject button. And it's the eject pack, and it switches out the Pokemon when their stats are lowered. So it's of course good for moves like I believe in the direct they showed using Draco Meteor, which lowers your special attack. And then so you use Draco Meteor, or you could use it for like close combat, stuff like that. Things that lower your stats, so you can immediately switch out after using them and not have to worry about the stat drop. So yeah, interesting. I'm really excited to see what kind of new held items they introduced. Of course, they introduced a lot of new held items in Sun and Moon. And just, mostly in terms of competitive battling, I'm excited to see what they add. And even in casual too. Don't get me wrong. Held items are used quite often in casual too. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what they add in terms of held items and how it affects the game. How it affects the meta of competitive Pokemon. So, that is going to do it for me. We're going to do our last segment of the day, but that is going to do it for the new stuff. I hope you enjoyed me talking about all the new stuff and my opinions on them. I know it was a lot. I know it was a lot to go over, but I'm finally happy that I got my opinions out there and being able to talk about the new stuff, with everybody. I say that, but I'm really just talking to myself, but able to get my thoughts out there and, just info dump and kind of remind myself as well about everything that's coming out in Sword and Shield. It's inching closer and closer, and I am just so excited, and I hope that you are too. So we're going to get into our last segment, which of course is Move Tutor, the segment where we go over a random Pokemon move every episode, and this the random move featured in today's Move Tutor is Inferno Overdrive, which of course is the Fire-type Z move introduced in Generation 7. Inferno Overdrive inflicts damage. It's just the Fire Z move. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing really interesting to talk about it, which is why I'm glad we got it today. Because I didn't really want to talk about I didn't want to talk too much about something really, something really complicated when we're kind of running out of time here. But I will go over all of the moves that Inferno Overdrive can be can be activated from. But it also says here, if Breakneck Blitz is used during harsh sunlight with Weather Ball as its base move, it will turn into Inferno Overdrive. Which is interesting. It makes sense that if you use Weather Ball in harsh sunlight, which normally turns Weather Ball into a Fire type move, it would turn into the Fire type C move. So of course it is dependent on what move you use it from, whether or not it's special or physical. Its power varies. And yeah, we're gonna go over the moves that Inferno Overdrive can be turned into, which is Blast Burn for a power of 200, Blaze Kick for a power of 160, Blue Flare for a power of 195, Burn Up for 195, Ember for 100, Eruption for 200, Fiery Dance for 160, Fire Blast for 185, Fire Fang for 120, Fire Lash for 160, Fire Pledge for 160, Fire Punch for 140, Fire Spin for 100, Flame Burst for 140, Flame Charge for 100, Flame Wheel for 120, Flamethrower for 175, Flare Blitz for 190, Fusion Flare for 180, Heat Crash for 160, bear with me, Heat Wave at 175, Incinerate for 120, Inferno for 180, Lava Plume for 160, Magma Storm for 180, Mind Blown, which is, I believe, what is it, what is that Pokemon's name? Yeah, Blacephalon. Sorry, wow, my mind just completely drew a blank. 200 power for Mind Blown. Mystical Fire for 140. Overheat for 195. Sacred Fire for 180. Searing Shot for 180. Shell Trap. Oh, which is, yeah, it's Turtonator. That's surprising. I didn't know what that move was. Shell Trap for 200. Weather Ball for 160. With the Breakneck Blitz and Harsh Sunlight. And for the highest base power, last but certainly not least, V-Create for 220. That is insane. That is very, very strong. 220. Jesus Christ. Of course, you can only use it as Victini, but wow, Victini with the fire for AMZ. Jesus, that's insane. So anyway, that is going to do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you're about as excited for Sword and Shield as I am. And I will catch you in the next episode. See you then. Bye.